I feel like playing some old Konami games. You know, back before they were making millions on erotic pachinko machines. Want to play some Metal Gear? Or maybe some Gradius? Or some Contra? Or maybe some Dababa? You don't know what Dababa is? You mean you haven't played Konami's Dababa for the Famicom Disk System on a floppy disk? Dababa? Dababa? Dababa, dababa, dababa. Yeah, if you didn't know, Japan got a floppy disk-based add-on for their original Nintendo, or as they called it, the Famicom. It was quite a bit more successful than you'd think, too. I got myself the twin Famicom here, which is a Famicom and a disk drive in one. There was a large push for this to be successful, and for the first few years, Nintendo only made their games for the disk system rather than cartridges. This even included the initial release of Metroid, Zelda, and Mario games. Because of this push, there was a handful of pretty interesting games that you could only get for the add-on, and one of them was Meikyuu Jiin Dababa. This is one of a handful of Konami games that never made it outside of Japan, and has stayed exclusive as a disk drive game only. Maybe some other time I'll talk about the other Konami disk drive games we never got. I just love the sounds this thing makes. What else am I gonna talk about it anyway? Something about old technology, man, it just really makes me happy. Retry or continue? Retry? I think? Don't these options mean basically the same thing? No, yeah, look, here, I got this very scientific diagram to prove it. As you can see from these words here, and the arrows, basically the same thing, and where's the new game button? It's whatever, retry basically functions as new game. The game starts with a cutscene showing your character, who appears to be a monk of some sort, being frozen as a demon comes and steals away a girl, setting up the plot for this game. I've always found it somewhat pointless to have cutscenes in games that are as old as this one, but this one is surprisingly well done and it's easy to tell what happened. This game is basically taking the square tile movement idea and building an entire game around it. If you've ever played Star Tropics, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Instead of having your traditional free-flowing movement, you jump on a fixed grid, being able to jump 1 or 2 squares at a time. You fight with a simple projectile that relies on some planning due to the movement rather than your typical Twitch-based combat. It comes off as stiff and inconvenient at first, but once you get used to it, it's actually a whole lot of fun. This is thanks to the game taking care to make puzzles and enemies planned around this mechanic. Everything just sorta makes sense after a while. Things can really feel like a bit of a maze at times. Often the objective to advance is to reveal all the seals on a given floor to make a book appear. Once you collect it, a door appears and you'll be able to continue. This is the trend to advance, but is not always the only way. Sometimes there's multiple exits upon collecting the book, where choosing the wrong one sends you backwards rather than forwards. In some cases, the real exit is straight up hidden and you're forced to try a little bit of everything to find it. I like it in that old school, cryptic, hard Nintendo sorta way. I know this won't hold true for everyone, but none of the puzzles were kneel in front of a specific wall with a specific crystal with no hints sorta cryptic. Hey, another Konami game. There's only 2 situations that come to mind where they took the cryptic secrets aspect and took it a little too far for even me. One is this castle that's further away than you can jump. I tried looking for a key, clearing a bunch of enemies, jumping at it anyways, which resulted in me dying, shooting at it when... Oh, you do need to shoot at it to make a bridge appear, you just need to shoot it like 5 times. It really sucks too, because after shooting it once or twice, you figure, that must not be what it is, and you try everything else before you go, well, was it that or not? It's just a big waste of time. Another instance is where you clear a room and 2 doors appear. One makes you repeat the stage you're on, whereas the other one makes you go back a level. Once you've tried both, you start wondering, well, what am I missing? And you start checking all the areas. What you actually need to do is obtain a mirror from an earlier level, then jump into this waterfall. If you try jumping into it without the mirror, it actually sends you all the way back to the first stage of the world.
Are you serious?
That's just silly given that there's a chance that you may try the waterfall without the mirror. If you do that and then get the mirror later, you'll have no idea what it does, and you won't actually know to try the mirror and the waterfall at the same time. Instead, you'll just stay away from it because it wasn't a good idea in the first place. Those are really the only two instances, though, where it got bad enough for me, though, and all the other secrets felt relatively tame. Just because this game is heavy with puzzles doesn't mean that it's free from action, though, either. Enemies constantly respawn, some of them shoot at you, and there's many stage hazards that keep you on your toes. This is alleviated quite a bit though with the items you can find, such as stronger attacks in the form of fireballs and a triple shot, and you can also find health and health upgrades. There's also this armor piece that you can find occasionally which makes it so you take half damage. Then there's the boss fights. Every world ends with a platformer-like boss fight where you have to hop around and fire at them to take them down. They actually kept the jumping concept here as well, even though you no longer move on a grid. Instead of moving left or right naturally, you kind of bounce left or right instead. And jumping makes you fly through the sky like some sort of crazy action hero. It's sort of baffling that they decided to replicate the controls here, and it's just all sorts of weird. The bosses are challenging enough though, and this is mostly due to the floaty movement. Without it, I don't think they'd be as hard. My last gripe is that the game felt relatively short. It only has 4 worlds, where the first 3 have 6 levels and the last one has 10. There's some really neat ideas here too, such as a room that's slowly collapsing and you need to rush to find all the seals to escape on time. This idea was just never utilized again. Neither were the rooms that I had problems with, like the room where you need to find a mirror and jump through the waterfall. If any other level from then on out had the mirror, I'd be more accepting of new cryptic puzzles and I'd know that one is coming up when I found one. But it just never makes a return, and it makes that puzzle all the more souring. There was just a bunch of interesting ideas while they lasted, but the game just didn't revisit them and ended up being over before I knew it. Really left me wanting more. Despite all of my small complaints, the entire package is a fairly good one in my book. The visuals were solid, and while there were only a few songs, they were all fantastic, and they did a great job of utilizing the Disk System's extra sound channels. It definitely has that retro Nintendo feel in a lot of good ways, and I think it could have done really well if it was released in the West back in 1987 when this game hit Japanese shelves. If you're the same sort of person who owns a Famicom Disk System, or would like to, then you're likely the same sort of person who would enjoy this game. Or if you're like me and just like hearing floppy drives at work. Oh yeah. Oh hi there. As per usual, thanks all 6 of you for watching my video. And if you're a magical 7th person and you liked it, consider following if you want to get new videos. I plan on coming out with a new video every week, so if you'd be looking forward to that, well there you go. New video every week. And if you're looking for something else to watch, you could check out my video on Billy the Wizard for the Wii, one of the worst games I've ever played. Please kill me. So until next time, have yourself a pretty neat day.